be recorded. On behalf of 8 French chambers of commerce in Central and East European countries, I would like to welcome you to today's webinar focused on green energy and its future. I am very glad that our invitation was accepted by a very interesting panel of speakers who represent, from one side, the institution of the European Commission and big players of energy sector on the other side. Firstly, Mr. Radoš Horáček, who is a team leader for General Energy Efficiency Policy Team of the European Commission in Brussels, will present you an overview of European Green Deal in the context of COVID-19 and financing of recovery. And then during the roundtable, Mr. Badida will animate and you will have the possibility to ask the question via the chat of Zoom application. Please keep your microphone and webcam off if you are not speaking. And now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Badida, who will introduce the topic and the speakers of today's morning.
Thank you, Zuzana, very much. Thanks, French Commerce, for inviting us and organizing for this webinar. Bonjour, Madame et Messieurs, good morning to everyone, and welcome one more time to our webinar on energy and sustainability, on post-pandemic and green energy future. We are living quite turbulent days, especially the pandemic crisis has totally changed our daily life. I personally would prefer on-site conference with handshakes, but we have to adapt to this new digital era, which has been accelerated by COVID-19. But I believe our excellent panelists could tell us more on the crisis and affection of their businesses. But we prepared more topics to discuss. As you probably know, European Commission just proposed a higher emission target for 2030 to achieve climate neutrality by 2050. Certainly this energy, this green transformation will require a lot of money and very good projects. So we'll speak about projects about funding, which could be also interesting for many of you as our attendees. We will speak about fiscal reform, moving burden from the distortive tax on capital and labor towards more environmental taxes. And I believe we will also speak about energy prices due to a lot of subsidies given to new fuels such as hydrogen, biogas, biomethane, about our competitiveness. This question will be addressed by our panelists, and I would like to introduce them to you. Mr. Miroslav Zajíček is from Czech Republic. He is Director for Strategy and Regulatory Affairs at Veolia, Czech Republic provider of water services, producer and supplier of heat and cool in Czech Republic. Mr. Popescu, Stefan Popescu, is from Romania. He is Deputy Public Affairs at ENGIE, which is gas distribution company, and he is former State Secretary of Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Romania. And last but not least will be Dejan Markovic from Schneider Electric. He's Power Systems and Field Service Vice President, not only in Serbia, but in many other countries in Southeast region. There should be also with us a fourth speaker, Mr. Makišević from Croatia, but as we understood yesterday, he injured his leg, so he cannot attend, but we wish him an early recovery and healing. Before our discussion, we will give a floor to Mr. Radoš Horáček, who is from European Commission, from DG Energy, responsible for energy efficiency team. And I think he will tell us more on European Green Deal in the context of COVID-19 and even potential financing via recovery plan. So, Mr. Horacek, you have your 15 minutes for presentation.
Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dobrý den. I was already introduced, so I will not repeat what was already said. And I will come directly to the heart of the subject, the recovery from the COVID crisis and what can we expect in terms of energy. First, let me look at it a little bit from a small distance. I mean, there is already flowing quite a lot of money, quite a lot of public money into the economic recovery and into the energy sector. And there will be flowing more public money to it from the national governments, from the local governments, and also from the EU. And the question which is in front of us is, do we conserve the economy as it was in the past, or do we build sustainable economy for the future? And all the levels of the government which are financing the recovery, they have to think about these two questions. And they are facing the realities of the market. And I understand the undertakings, so the realities of the market, it's you who is building it. So you have the top-down approach of the choices of the national, local, and European governments. And you have the bottom-up, the markets that are ready for following or offering opportunities for such choices. And these two approaches, top-down and bottom-up, they have to meet somewhere. So allow me to encourage you as businesses to propose business cases that are financeable, to propose options for the future that will go into the right direction, hopefully into building the sustainable economy for the future. I would like now to say a few words about the recovery plan for Europe. The Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen, said that the investments for the recovery will not only preserve the outstanding achievements of the last 70 years, but will also ensure that the Union is climate neutral, digital, social, and strong global player. So this is the Europe's moment. And indeed, you have noticed that the COVID crisis is destroying parts of the economy. We hope this is only very temporary. But wherever there is something going down, there are opportunities for something else going up. So we are at the moment when we are laying down the foundations for our future. It is to protect the lives, the livelihoods, and the jobs in the European Commission. And the European Commission is proposing a major recovery plan based on using a powerful and modern EU budget to deliver a more sustainable, digital, and fair Europe. It is a new generational pact for tomorrow. So we are looking into a collective recovery for common future, which is based on solidarity to overcome the crisis, solidarity between member states, which goes beyond of what was seen before in the EU. It is to restore and rebuild the single market, the generator of the innovation, prosperity, and opportunities. So, as I said, something new, something future-oriented. It's a cornerstone of a union which is climate neutral, digital, and more resilient. The collective recovery and common future, there is a twofold response to mobilize the necessary funds. First, the next generation EU to temporarily boost the financial power to the EU budget with funds raised on the capital markets. We expect to raise 750 billion euros and a reinforced long-term budget of the European Union for 2021 until 2027. So that's the budgetary 7 years period for the EU budget, which is funded with 1,100 billion euros. And there was a package for workers, businesses, and sovereigns, that's the states, already endorsed by the European Council on the 23rd of April of this year, worth 540 billion euros. The functioning of the next generation EU It's a robust EU response in the first years of post-crisis recovery. It shall mobilize a variety of instruments which shall invest into the green, digital, and resilient Europe. It will have three pillars: supporting member states to recover, kickstarting the economy and private investment, and the third is learning the lessons from the crisis. How does the next generation EU function? The Commission shall issue bonds on the markets on behalf of the EU. So this is the first time something like that is happening. The proceeds will go to the new multi-annual financial framework, the so-called MFF. So it will go to the new MFF instruments, or it will be top-ups for the revamp of MFF programs in the form of grants or budgetary guarantees. The Commission lends proceeds to the EU countries under the Recovery and Resilience Facility to finance their reform and resilience plan, in line with the objectives identified in the European semester, including the green and digital transformation, the member states' national energy and climate plans, as well as the just transition plans. I would like to underline these three plans I was just talking about. So by the end of last year and at the beginning of this year, all the 28 member states have prepared in a complex and consultative process the national energy and climate plans. So this is a basis for the framework as it was phrased until then. You might know that the EU had a number of targets set in the clean energy package, which was agreed in 2018. These included greenhouse gas emission limitation by 2030 to 40%, well, for 40% less than what was emitted in 1990. Energy efficiency target of 32.5% reduction of energy consumption, and renewables target of 32%. But from there, from the clean energy package and from the national plans, we go ahead. We do have the European Green Deal and now the recovery plan. You have noticed last week was agreed the new way forward, the climate target plan, which aims at the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions of at least 55%. That's significantly more than we had in the past with the 40%. And the energy efficiency target and the renewables target will be impact assessed and developed further so that the Commission can propose new rules in the area of energy efficiency renewables in June next year. And the very important plans at member states level are the just transition plans for the regions that are hit in the most severe way by the decarbonization. And also we are now working together with the member states so that they can prepare the draft recovery plans. This is sort of the next step which will build on the national energy and climate plans. And if you allow me, I would like to stop here and offer the possibilities for questions or for discussion. Joseph, the word is yours. I don't hear you. You're muted.
Right. Sorry. Thank you, Radoš, for the short introduction. It seems that there is a lot of money and we are waiting for very feasible projects. I think this will be also part of our discussion. And if anyone from the public would like to ask a question to you or all other speakers, just write it down into our chat. I will check it out and give it to our panelists. And now we can start with discussion with our excellent panelists. As the name of the whole panel is about COVID and the future, so maybe we can start with Mr. Markovic from Serbia. Maybe you can tell us, and then others, how COVID-19 affected your business, what's the impact, and what do you expect in the future? Maybe it can accelerate some changes. So what could be also pros and cons of this crisis in the future? So please tell us more on your business. Dejan Markovic.
Okay, good morning to everybody from my side. So these challenging times actually show us what the new technology can do for our business. New technologies help to us and help also to our partners to somehow bypass some of the problems which we had by beginning of the year. And for sure, this, let's say, changes in the way of the working speed up the digital transformation of the many companies, which somehow allow them to save the money, time, resources, and what is more important, to, let's say, lead a very interesting topic which Mr. Horacek was mentioned, and this is sustainability. Because sustainability is one of the main disruption which we can say will define this coming decade. What does it mean actually? In the, let's say, identity of the economy, energy and sustainability initiatives will contribute and accelerate business profitability, strategic decisions, risks, and financial management and continuity. Within this, in the next, let's say, 10 years, in the next decades, company for sure will need to take decisive actions what to deliver upon the market, disrupting sustainability demands from their stakeholders, customers, boards, and etc. And to size, let's say, opportunities presenting to these, let's say, changes which are in front of us. So let's say many things related to the digitization, but in the same time as well within the sustainability and how the business will, let's say, continue in the coming years. So COVID, we take a lot of the learnings from this crisis from the beginning of the year, we and our partners as well.
And what about current business? Like, I suppose that it must be a big shock for all of us, but for your plans as well. So what happened in February and the next days or next month? So how was it in your company and in your case? How COVID affected exactly the business at that time in your case?
Look, as I said on the beginning of this, somehow since that Schneider Electric is recognized on the market as a leader of the digital transformation, for us was, let's say, switching to the digital operating mode was somehow easy, and to stay in contact within the customer and to provide them any kind of the support, either remotely or via our solutions which we are providing on the various markets. So we are happy that somehow, let's say, in total, business not so much affected, since also if you go into the stock exchange, you can see that our prices of the Schneider stocks are not, let's say, going down too much, which is actually proving that we are on the good way, and within this digital transformation and let's say providing of the digital services to the customer, we're choosing the good momentum and good direction for the development.
Thank you, Dejan. It seems that digital transformation accelerated by COVID helps your company quite well. We can go to Romania and we can go to a gas distribution business. What about your case? How COVID affected your business, and what's your expectation? Or does it accelerate some changes in your company as well? Stefan.
It was a severe crisis also for us, with a significant economic decline for Romania in the second quarter of the year, more than 12% of our GDP, with a narrowing of economic activities. For more than a month, the main factories completely ceased their activities. The restaurants were closed, the hotels as well. This has had a significant impact on the energy sector, and especially on the natural gas market. Distributed gas volumes have fallen sharply. The HoReCa sector is one of the most important clients for us, as well as the big industry, such Michelin or Ford. However, the crisis manifested itself at the end of the winter, which somewhat diminished the losses. In spring and summer, energy consumption, as you know, especially gas, it's lower. Fortunately, we are seeing a return of the previous economic activities. The government hopes to end the year with even slight economic growth. This is a good news for everyone. During the state of emergency, there were multiple challenges for ENGIE in Romania. First of all, related to ensuring the proper functioning of the distribution networks. The technical interventions were performed under very special conditions, given the need to ensure measures against the spread of the virus. We are facing an increase of the expenses due to the measures to limit the spread of the virus and to protect our staff and customers. The coronavirus crisis has also impacted the way we work. Remote work has become widespread for the companies, support activities, not for the operational ones, where the presence on the field is fundamental. And I can proudly say that we didn't not have any infected person among the technical staff who were present day and night for interventions. We have realized more than ever the importance of digitization, of course, so that hundreds of employees of the companies can work from home in a normal way. And of course, the importance of digitization for the relations with our clients, especially when the public relations offices were closed during the states of emergency. The tourism industry, I want to mention, I want to highlight, decreased by 45%. The consumption of the population registered significant decrease. That is why we believe that only in 2022 we'll be able to return to the pre-crisis period.
Okay, Stefan. It seems that consumption, in fact, it was lower due to the COVID. What about your employees? What kind of measures have you done to protect them? I suppose, as you mentioned it, there were higher expenses. I suppose that you had to prepare if somebody is infected. So, what did you do with your staff? How did you protect them? In the case there would be some virus in your company?
The most significant measure was the work from home, and digitization proved the necessity. It's a necessity to be digitalized, to have enough computers to distribute to your staff, of course. And then now we work by rotation. We work by rotation, of course, only for the support services, because as I told you, the operational it's fundamental to be on the field and to have, of course, all the equipment against the spread of the virus. And we made also some changes in some, with the introduction of some protection materials, plexiglass in our public relations offices. We reinforce our team at the public relation calls to be able to answer by call or by internet to our clients. So it was an effort, and it is an important effort.
Okay, fortunately,
and of course, due to the lower volume of gas, also our investment plan was affected for the next year.
Okay, fortunately there were no shortages, but there will be some losses at the end of the year. We can move to Czech Republic and Mr. Zajíček from Veolia, which is one of top supplier of heat and cold to cool to the public, to the household, and probably to the industry as well. Maybe you can tell us how COVID crisis affected your business, your company, and what expectations do you have? What can you learn from this crisis?
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. So maybe as opposed to the previous speakers, my approach or my views will be a little bit down to earth and not so comprehensive, yeah, because I don't feel to be qualified to talk about the overall economic impacts and long-term impacts. I will just tell you how it was impacted, how our company was impacted, yeah? And I would probably divide my comments into four big areas. First, how it impacted our business, yeah. So if you look at our business lines, water, heat, electricity, well, in water, with exception of the original change in the structure of water consumption, it means specifically the water consumption in Prague in the course of the lockdown simply plummeted, and on the other hand, the water consumption around Prague went up. So, with the exception of that, there is some slight impact on supply of water because of the decline in tourism. But other than that, we were not really impacted that much from the business point of view. It's very similar and surprising actually in a heat, because other than the sites where we have hotels and baths and spas as clients, there is not a substantial decline of demand for our services. And electricity again, we are as opposed to other electricity suppliers such as Czechs, we are relatively small. So whatever we produce, we simply sell on the market, and because we hedge our sales, again, the declines of prices in April and March actually did not affect our business model and our business at all. So that's from that. So far, the business impact was mild. Yeah, and of course, it may change. It may change with the second wave of pandemics coming to the Czech Republic, and maybe a third wave next year. Well, and then of course it will depend on the overall economic recovery. But so far, we are affected relatively mildly. So this is a good news. Second is how we were affected, I mean, directly. It means how many COVID cases we had among our employees. So far, our employees, the amount of our employees is more than 2,300. Yeah, the average number of employees 2,300 in energy business line only. Out of this number, the total number of cases of COVID that our employees went through is about 10 for the whole time of pandemics. It's around 10. I don't have exact numbers because it changed overall, and all of the cases were from the outside. We did not have any at least we don't know about that, but we didn't have any transmission within the company between employees. So it's always was a case that we were able to trace that infection from somewhere from the outside, usually from holidays or from some family members working in other companies. So, and that's because our reaction was swift and I think quite effective in a sense of the measure that we introduced. And I need to stress that one of our daughter companies, Veolia Industrial Services, is actually the energy and services provider for mining industry in the Czech Republic. That was actually the mining industry, the company OKD, was the source of pandemics, and one of the sources of pandemics in the Czech Republic, with hundreds and hundreds of people that were tested positive. And despite we are actually on site of OKD within Veolia Industrial Services, we didn't find any positive case, even though we tested massively. So that was, I think, again, the outcome of our measure that we introduced. So that was the direct. So far, again, we were not severely affected by the pandemics, directly. So of course, it can also change again with the second wave, because the second wave in the Czech Republic now is pretty much communal transmission. You cannot really trace, so you don't really know where it is. So it may change, but we are trying to do our best to stop anything coming to the company, because once it affects operation, that's the problem. So far so good. Then changes in markets. There are basically two markets that were severely affected by pandemics. One that was just a short-term affection, which was CO2 emission allowances went substantially down. The prices of CO2 allowances went substantially down in March, but recovered from that time. So we were quite effective in responding to that. And the other market, which it's much more important for us in a sense, it's natural gas market. The prices of natural gas plummeted, but it's not only the COVID. COVID plays a part, but that was already the process in the making. So this is simply the fact of life, that we need to to live with cheap natural gas prices and high CO2 prices, this is something that already started pretty much a year ago, and COVID just reinforced that as something that was already here. So that's another thing. So, and then the last part the last area that I can talk something about is are the regulatory and other policy changes that affect our business. And actually, out of those four areas that I am talking about, the last area is the one that affects us the most. Other than that, without the reaction of a public sector, after a few months or maybe years, we would not even remember what happened. The massive reaction from the EU and the governments actually is really affecting us the most. So all those plans of reinforcing the Green Deal, new recovery and resilient facilities, and so on, and speeding up certain goals and increasing ambitions. This has a much deeper impact on our business than anything anything else that I was talking about. So the indirect impact of COVID, not via the business, not via the prices or direct impact, the indirect impact via the reaction of governments and European Commission. This is something that affects us the most. I have to add that it simply just gives some speed to the process that we already introduced before. Because 2 years or 3 years ago, our company committed itself to leaving the coal until 2030. Well, it's very likely, because of the introduction of RRF and other measures, that we will be faster. But it's nothing that would change our operation tremendously, in the sense that we haven't expected that. So we already have, or actually, we already have and prepared plans how to convert our coal burning facilities into something else. So what is going on the European level? It's just adding up to the effort that we already were doing before the COVID crisis and before the reaction that was sparked by the COVID crisis. So for us, direct impacts are relatively mild. Indirect impacts are harsh and severe, but in a sense, sort of in a direction that we already anticipated simply by reading what the European policies were before. So, well, yeah, it speeds up things, but nothing that is fundamentally different from anything that we have expected. And this is probably the point that I would leave to you and other participants to react or comment.
Thank you, Miroslav. It seems that COVID-19 doesn't change the direction the European Commission is going on. Even it only speed up all the processes, as you mentioned as well. So we can go to European Green Deal. It's the conference our webinar is all about. As already mentioned by Radoš, Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, informed us about the idea of the Commission to increase our common target for reduction of greenhouse gas emission by 2030 from 40% to 55%. It's quite a huge improvement. But what was interesting in the announcement from the Commission, there were also other targets estimations, and they increase. It was interesting for me to see that common renewable energy target could be even 38% from current 32%, and from energy efficiency it could go higher to 36%. Till 2030. So it's not only about emission target, it's about all other targets all connected. And the target means new legislation, a lot of new legislation on emission trading system, on buildings, energy efficiency of buildings, on a carbon border tax adjustment mechanism. So another question for our speakers, maybe we can start with Stefan. How do you consider this European ambition, this proposal of the European Commission? Do you think that to get to the climate neutrality it's sufficient, or it's maybe too ambitious or unrealistic? What do you think? How do you see this proposal of the Commission from last year, Stefan? So from last week, of course. Stefan, can you react? Stefan Popescu, can you react to this ambition?
Yes, excuse me, technical problem. Yes, we fully support the Euro ambition to significantly reduce the CO2 emission and modernize and decarbonize the energy sector, provided that an enabling regulatory framework and market design is put in place and appropriate funding is ensured. We are convinced that the transition towards carbon neutrality has to be economically sustainable, especially in our region, socially inclusive, and must not compromise security of energy supply, also important in our region. It is not easy to reach the ambitious targets set by the European Union to achieve a 55% reduction in CO2 emissions by 2030 and zero to emissions by 2050. Different countries have different starting points, and not all are ready to switch to a majority green consumption. Affects social transition in terms of cost of all the population of EU countries should be ensured. Climate policy has now become, as I observe, a significant political issue. It is necessary to find the right balance in the cost mitigation of the energy transition in order to make them affordable for all. The energy transition has a price for all of us, for all EU member states, industries and citizens. And we have seen in France the yellow vest movement showing that the citizens, especially the vulnerable ones, but also the so-called middle classes, are not ready to accept easy this cost. And we have another important issue, security of supply that I mentioned. We must consider the particularities for Romania, I speak now, of the Romania energy market. Romania is a big European gas producer. We are the third European gas producer. In this context, natural gas remains essential during the transition period. It can continue to play this role and contribute to greenhouse gas emission reduction over the next years, while renewable gases, of course, will gradually replace natural gas. But we need more time than the Western developed country. That's why the development of natural gas distribution network is crucial if Romania want to achieve its medium and long-term climate objectives. In the short and medium term, natural gas will help to phase out more carbon-intensive fossil fuels, such coal. We have the same problems like Poland and Germany. Not so big, but we have 25% of our electricity productions comes from coal power plant. And in summer, this proportion increase sometime at 40%. And we must also consider the risk, but also the opportunities. Renewable gases are not yet competitive with CCS-based solutions and require therefore a dedicated approach in order to close this gap. In the first place, Europe should facilitate the financing of renewable gas projects. For instance, green gas development project, hydrogen, methane blending project, power to gas, biogas upgrading into biomethane project should be eligible as project of common interest on the PCI list. And of course, national support scheme will be needed in addition, and they should be designed to promote renewables and renewable gases for us, for NG Romania effectively, and at the same time in a cost-efficient way. Moreover, measures that help to internalize positive externalities and allow renewable gas operators to maximize their market revenues, energy flexibilities, guarantees of origin, bioproducts should be pursued with priority, as this will reduce the need for subsidies. And the last, the public authorities and industries should better communicate on this issue, because the energy transition creates also big opportunities for circular economy, new businesses, new jobs, and more sustainable economic growth. But I repeat, we need more time.
Stefan, thank you very much. I'm afraid time will be a problem because target will be set probably, but what European Commission is proposing are money and some funds to help to transform the whole energy and just the whole economy as such. We can move to Czech Republic and to Mr. Zajíček. How do you see this ambition, this new ambition, higher emission energy emission target, and maybe all other targets? We know that, as you already mentioned, the Czech Republic would like to leave the coal till 2030. You have probably better experience with nuclear energy, but maybe you can tell us how do you see these ambitions and maybe future approach of the Czech Republic and your company.
Well, yeah. One thing to clarify, I didn't say that the Czech Republic is ready to leave the coal till 2030. I said Veolia in the Czech Republic is ready to leave, or had a plan to leave the coal use till 2030, and it probably will be faster. And the same is for the Czech Republic. Now we establish, year ago, actually a year ago, the Czech government established something similar as the Coal Exit Commission, as they had in Germany, and the original plans were to leave the use of coal till 2040, and it probably, I'm not pretty sure because I'm not a member of the Coal Exit Commission, but it's very likely that the outcome will be the coal exit that will be much faster, maybe 35, but it depends. So but you know, the question was how I see the targets. Basically, all the targets of that kind are simply a political decision. Yeah. So because we really don't know what would be the market. What would have been the market outcome without any targets? Maybe that would be faster. That would be different. Definitely faster or slower, but definitely that would be different. So we don't know what would have been the market outcome. Whatever target like this is a political one. Simply, this is a political decision, and it has its price. And for us as a company, whatever the target will be, we will be, of course, obeying such target, and we will do our best to meet the target. And of course, it will have the price on it. So if you tell me to switch to whatever fuel, in terms of whatever fuel that to be used by heating, say, the city of Ostrava, well, you can do pretty much whatever you want. Well, I mean, given current technologies, we can use biomass. We can import the biomass from whatever part of the world. Well, it has its price. Yeah. So if now you are burning coal with the overall price 170 Czech crowns per gigajoule, if you would be burning biomass pellets from somewhere in the United States, it would cost you 250, say, maybe 300. It's possible. Yeah. It's technically feasible. Yeah. Everything is feasible. Everything is possible. It is just more expensive. So if the political decision is to go in that direction, it needs to be accompanied by the support scheme that will allow us to do so, and also the political will to explain to the customers that simply the price will be higher for, you know, reasons of saving the planet and so on. Technically speaking, almost everything is possible. It's just a matter of a price. And we are ready to do that. We are just saying that it will not be as cheap as it is now. But on the other hand, it may not be that much more expensive than it is now.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Miroslav. It was very clear. And I think the right message given to Radoš. Maybe we can now go to Southeastern Europe to Dejan, who can tell us his view. As we understood from your previous introduction, digitalization is part of the whole sustainable movement. So maybe in your case, you pretty much welcome even this new target and higher emission ambitions of the Commission. Please tell us more.
Correct. You're right. Since that, let's say, Schneider is not only the leader of the digital transformation, but as well, we are leading the complete energy management and the energy efficiency story in all the countries where we have our offices and operations. Just to be back to the beginning, just maybe 1 or 2 years ago, decarbonization and reduction of the greenhouse gas emission, let's say, was on the top agenda of the European Commission, which needs to be, let's say, implementing in the coming years. Within the COVID crisis and within this funding, which is just mentioned by Mr. Horacek, it is obvious that this direction will be speed up. And we see here really the great chance to improving overall the using of the energy and the energy efficiency. You just mentioned a couple of hints, which, by the way, I think that they are really, really achievable, you know, in terms of the renewables, because we are facing today that more and more distributed energy resources are connected to the network. Typical distribution network which we have for the utilities a couple of years ago or in the past simply is changing, since that many of these distributed energy resources, meaning renewable energy, is connected to the network. Not only this, we are now today facing another type of the equipment which is actively exchanging the energy within the electric vehicles, within the energy storages, which is also something which is new and which will have for sure impact in the coming period and years. So the targets in the energy efficiency and the connecting of the building of the renewable energy, I think it's achievable. Only one point which is also very important, and it is mentioned here, it's regarding the buildings and the investment in the smart buildings and the using of the energy in the buildings. Just as a fact, buildings representing the most inefficient, let's say, facilities today. And within the, let's say, certain studies done in the previous years, it is showing that only within the implementing of the energy efficiency measures on the level of the buildings, you can save the 60–70% of the energy within this, and combining within different of the cogeneration or within the renewables which can be installed together within the buildings in order to be, let's say, to using for the self-consumption. But anyway, yes, simply I think that we are on the good way, and we are looking forward really for these opportunities, which will be not only visible for the, let's say, Southeast Europe, but in the whole European territory, where this let's say funds and the projects financed through the European Union will be available.
Thank you, Dan. It seems that from the point of view of your company, you see a lot of opportunities. But I would like to ask even Radoš. I think you are from Czech Republic, but you live in Brussels, and you probably see this division of Europe. Western countries are more, I would call them, environmentally friendly. We in this part of Europe, we are quite price sensitive. Do you see from Brussels' perspective this division, and how the Commission would like to overcome this potential division of the European Union to these countries?
Yes, we do notice this division. We do notice in the preparatory materials when we are looking on the effects of the transition and of the different targets. We notice it also in the negotiations. All the member states, including the central and southern and eastern European member states, are well represented in the negotiations, and they make very clear what is important for them. And yeah, this is the point for European solidarity. So a part of having the same targets everywhere, I mean, for example, the energy efficiency target is at the moment a European target. The member states themselves have translated it into national targets. It is not sort of rules that are given from Europe to all the member states for the moment. One shall also notice that the energy efficiency targets, as they were translated into national targets, what came out from the national plans, instead of the agreed 32.5%, was somewhere between 29 and 30%. It was about 3 percentage points less. So it is a question on how it is effective. We still believe that the member states can well set and well optimize their resources in the best way. So we are looking into cost efficiency, cost effectiveness when it comes to the distribution of the targets. So what can be done where, at which price, and also at which costs to the consumers. And then there is the question or the intention also of solidarity. So of support for the development of the infrastructure, for support for structural reforms. So this would be my answer. I would like to make a remark when it comes to the sustainable future, because if we are looking sort of at this moment at an ultimate goal of decarbonization by 2050, then it is very important by all the efforts that we are doing today that this can at least lead to a decarbonization by 2050. That this will block us. And I wonder, especially when I hear Stefan Popescu saying about development of gas distribution, whether a part of it wouldn't be sunk costs, something that would not pay off when we look at decarbonization by 2050. And I think with this view of decarbonization by 2050, also the targets for 2030 were readjusted to make the path towards decarbonization more realistic.
You speak about sunk costs, but it's true that currently European funds are also going to the fossil fuel infrastructure. It was not prohibited, so on somehow you ask us about sunk costs, but it's not abolished or prohibited by the European Commission at the moment. There is the movement from the European Investment Bank that they are not going to invest into the fossil fuel infrastructure from 2021. So it's the first sign, but it doesn't. Something like this doesn't come from the European Commission, and I think it's good for the member states to decide at the end. Slovakia is also a good example of a huge gas infrastructure. And I believe there is a possibility to transform this infrastructure from transmitting not just natural gas, but maybe in the future hydrogen and all other possibilities like biomethane. It will probably ask a lot of investment. The question is whether we all believe in the all-electric world. Everything just electricity, or we can give a chance to some other fuels as well. And this is the point where we can go farther to the projects. You started with the solidarity, Radosh, and it's true that the European Commission is giving to the 10 member states with the lower GDP possibility to invest into energy projects from a modernization fund to transform our energy system to more climate friendly. There is also a recovery plan for all member states to come with the projects, with the reforms, and again with the climate friendly projects. So I would like to ask our panelists whether they have already proposed some kind of projects. If yes, if they can describe. If not, they can just recommend some projects what would like to be financed from their side. We can start with Mr. Zajíček Miroslav from Czech Republic.
Yeah, actually, this is what we are doing. Well, as I said, we already had a plan how to leave coal till 2030. So our plans that we presented about a month ago on our Czech Ministry of Trade and Industry were quite elaborate. We have a set of 24, 25 projects that it can be actually extended more. Just in a few minutes, we will have a meeting regarding the new technologies based on hydrogen. But we presented about 25 projects. There are concrete, elaborate projects how to switch or how to use new technologies on our sides. So it depends. The heating industry is very specific in a sense that, you know, there is no one general blueprint. Yeah? You go from one side to another, and you have to invent simply a tailored solution per each side, because it's diverse. So we have sites where we will use biomass. We have sites where we can use maybe even a hydrogen if we find a way. There are sites that we will at least for a certain time use natural gas with the potential of switching to biomethane and other, maybe even hydrogen in the future, or at least partial hydrogen in the future. Then we have sites that we will use distributed solutions. So from one We have, and of course we have sites that we will use various types of fuels based on waste. It could be the waste from municipal sources or the waste from industrial sources. So it depends on the site. So, but we have 25 concrete projects that we already presented, and we will in most of them we will try to find out some European sources. So we. In a sense, we were quite happy that the European Commission decided on increasing the effort to switch to other solutions, because simply it just suits us and our plan that we already were building. So yeah, we have. If you want to, I'll give you a concrete example. We have a heating plant in Frýdek-Místek, which is a municipality in northern Moravia. Now 50% of heat is supplied by biomass. The rest is still supplied by coal. So our plan is to switch, because that is a suitable site. We will switch to the biomass. The rest of it. There will be two very small peaking boilers for natural gas. Potentially, it could be supplied by other sources of gas. And we can use, we also produce electricity on the site, and we can use this green electricity, which is produced only from biomass, to go to producing hydrogen that can be used to propel buses in the area of Ostrava. So these kinds of projects we already are building, or at least we have, and we will of course negotiate with regional and governmental authorities how to finance them using the European funds.
You didn't mention isolation of grids. I believe this kind of project is part of your ideas as well. Maybe you can tell us, you mentioned 25 projects. So how much money do you ask from the Commission to invest or to support this investment? How much? Because that would be the question.
You know, this is an interesting question, but it doesn't really have a good answer, or one simple answer, because I would put it another way. The more money we get, the more projects we will. Because if we wouldn't get anything from the Commission or the government, we would still be going through like 20 projects, but they look differently. If you get some more money, you can elaborate more complicated, elaborate or better solutions from the point of view of CO2 emissions. So it depends, but not to avoid your question completely, we are talking about billions of Czech crowns in total. And it depends on the rules of public support within the EU and individual programs, how much we actually would ask from the public sources. So, but we are definitely talking about billions of Czech crowns.
Huge money. We can go to Dejan. Dejan, from your point of view, you, as mentioned it earlier, you are in many countries, like your company, Schneider Electric's. Question is whether you have some plans. So probably you have some projects as well, or at least you see what your customers, what kind of projects they would like to have. So maybe you can elaborate more on this.
We are more on the side that we are looking what our customer needs, and then we are providing the tailor-made solutions for that. But anyway, look, since that around the table we have also our customers from Veolia, and unfortunately Suez is missing today. But we also working closely with them on the couple of the projects and which are in the phase of the realization. But anyway, what we can recommend and what we are seeing like a trends, which is obvious that is moving in the not only in the Southeast Europe but almost in all the Europe. It's related to the investment in the utilities grid modernization, meaning that all of the big utilities are looking forward to modernize the network using the new digital tools, new softwares, making the network to be smart, to welcome the new connected renewables, as I mentioned previously. But not only this, to make available for the trading and the connecting of the prosumers as well, since that we are facing today some of the trends that microgrids start to be as well part of the big networks and part of our lives. What does it mean? This meaning that certain producers of the network can be producers of the energy, sorry, can be connected via some small microgrids using of the energy storage, since that within this technology today energy can be stored and then can be traded in the different ways. So we see that some trends which is occurring currently are namely related to this modernization, and there is a couple of the projects which is currently rolling on in the Southeast Europe related actually to the smart grid and implementation within some of the, let's say, customers like is mentioned CEZ or EVN or domestic utilities and so on and so on. So they recognize the needs and they are looking forward to modernize these points, because this is something which for sure will secure increasing of the demand for the electricity consumption in the future. So within our solution, we are here to serve the customer and to providing the best possible experience, since that I will remind that Schneider is producing the most powerful software for the managing of the utilities network, which is something like 7-8 years in a row declared as the best in class according to the Gartner. And we are proud that we have this competency center actually in this part of the Europe, in the Novi Sad. And we are looking forward to addressing these projects in the future, and like is currently is also ongoing.
Thank you, Dejan. Very good business approach from you. Stefan, tell us please more about your company, about your projects. As we already mentioned it, you represent the distribution and natural gas distribution company from Romania. So what are your potential projects to be financed, potentially financed from the European funds, from Modernization Fund?
Yes, the distribution, it's the most important part of ENGIE. Of course, we have also 2 wind farms with 100 megawatts. We have a storage facility in central Romania, in Transylvania. And we are interested also to develop the alternative fuel, especially CNG for vehicles, but also chargers for electric vehicle. But of course, natural gas, it's important in Romania. I already mentioned the particularities, but I want to insist on the social problem, because when we have an important part of the population in energy poverty, and the mono-industrial areas of Romania are not a challenge to switch from coal to gas or to other source of energy, but especially a social problem. That's why we insist to have an affordable transition and sustainable transition, because we are very conscious that it's very important to transform us and to follow the European trends, because we risk a danger in this region, the technological gap. And this will affect our competitiveness on the medium and long term. On the European funds, of course, we are very interested, and we are looking and we have a dialogue with our authorities in the elaboration of the national plan based on the multi-annual financial framework, European multi-annual framework, of course, EU Next Generation, Modernization Fund, and Just Transition Fund. I think they are the last opportunities to modernize the Romanian energy sector. The last. We look also to the innovation funds, for example, and we have some project on the PCI list. We submitted project for the modernization fund, 23 projects. We submit a project in gas storage, for gas storage development, and of course the gas network modernization in order to decrease the consumption and the losses, and to adapt our grid to new type of gas, hydrogen and biomethane. Biomethane especially because, you know, it's not different from from the natural gas. So it's not a challenge, a technological challenge, and we have completely the technology of biomethane. We submitted also a project in development of the public network of alternative fuels, CNG and biomethane, and also to convert the organic waste from the farmers or from the municipalities in biomethane. Of course, energy efficiency, it's a very important issue for us. We have millions of buildings inherited from the communist time that they need to be more efficient energetically. For us, it's essential, more than the dialogue with the authorities, the dialogue with municipalities. The municipalities are more close to the needs of the customers, they understand better, and they are more dynamic and more agile. And I think their projects are also very useful for us for our business transformation.
Stefan, it seems that you have as much project as Veolia in Czech Republic. Maybe you can also reveal us the cost. How much money do you ask from the Commission or from the European budgets?
More than 1 billion euros. More than 1 billion euros. Yes.
Okay. Very similar to.
Of course, Romania has 4.4 billion euros allocated for modernization and 6 billion for Just Transition Fund.
Okay. There is one practical question to Radoš. So please, I don't know whether you can also see the questions. I can read you. There is one for Martina Olejníková from Slovakia. She's asking about the procedure. She supposed that the money from the Next Generation EU funds should be invested till 2024. If this is true, it seems that it's a very short time and not enough to really to make the structural changes, like to invest into innovative projects. Is it true that the 2024 is the time horizon for investments? Where is Radoš? I don't see him online. Okay, so this question will wait for him once he connect again. Not much time left, so maybe we can go farther. The last two questions, I can just join them in one. It's about, as already mentioned, it's about energy prices and about some kind of taxes. What do you think? Is this potential tax burden shifting from capital taxation to environmental taxation bearable by you? Are you ready to pay for, I don't know, carbon tax, higher air pollution fees, tax on plastic, and so this is about taxes. And what about energy prices? Do you think that that Europe will be still competitive if we support pretty much all these new fuels like hydrogen, decarbonized gases, biomass? What scenarios with energy prices do you expect? Maybe we can start with Mr. Zajíček from Czech Republic.
Yeah. In general, the decision about taxes is again political, yeah, and the answer for that will inevitably differ among the countries. Yeah, if you talk Germans are probably very likely and very willing to pay higher energy prices simply, and knowing that it's because of green energy support. The same number of those, or the amount of that will be that will be accepted to be paid in Romania, Bulgaria, or maybe Czech Republic would be probably very different. So it's a political decision. From the economic point of view, the most important thing that we as a company expect is that the taxes will not create market distortions. So far, the largest problem that we face is not the price of CO2 that increased throughout the last 2 or 3 years substantially. It's not the biggest problem per se. The biggest problem is that our main competitors, it means distributed energy suppliers, are not actually obliged to pay these CO2 emission allowances. That is a big problem, and this actually distorts the market environment, and also it doesn't really help to achieve the targets that the European Commission set or is about to increase, simply because the most likely distributed solution is the gas boiler on the wall of an individual house. Once you install the gas boiler on the individual house, you are pretty much locked into this technology for the next 20 years without any potential of increasing the energy efficiency and decreasing the CO2 emissions. Instead, if you have the central district heating systems, you are very flexible in changing the overall fuel composition. Well, as the situation is today, at least in some European countries, among them the Czech Republic, Slovakia, and most of the Eastern European or Central and Eastern European countries, there is a huge distortion between those who pay and who don't pay the CO2 allowances. The situation has been changed in certain Western European countries, and the most recent example is Germany, that actually from 2021 introduces the carbon tax. This is one view, and the other is how competitive the overall European economy will be. Quite honestly, if you look at the energy prices around the world, they differ substantially. The lowest prices are, let's talk about the developed world. The lowest prices are in the United States for political reasons. The highest prices are in Japan and the countries like them for partially political, partially for economic reasons. Is there any substantial difference between competitiveness of American and Japanese economy? Well, not a big one, and there are some differences, but they are not, they are not rooted in the level of energy prices. So my short question would be: the competitiveness of European economy actually dwells in different things than just energy prices as such. So even if the energy prices would double in Europe, it would not necessarily decrease the European competitiveness, provided that the European economy will be liberal and open. That's my point.
Thank you. Dejan, your point on probably competitiveness of Europe, energy prices, taxation, environmental.
Look, just one comment, and to be linked within the previous speaker. Transition to renewable energy resources does not necessarily mean the higher prices. You know, if you combine the concept which I mentioned within the microgrids, which is allowing to energy for everyone, modernization of the grid in order to you can cut the losses in the networks, very well updated energy management systems, and so on and so on. All of these, factors will for sure having the somehow impact on the price, and as I mentioned, not necessarily that meaning to be high. This is a one angle of the story. On another side, companies are within this tax environment. How you mentioned, it's environmental taxation and this kind of fiscal reform for sure will be somehow weighted. But on the other side, you have the companies who is clearly declared that for instance, that they will reach the carbon neutrality in the coming years. So they are already investing already in the cycles in order to be, let's say, somehow recognized as a CO2 emission zero or something like that. So many different factors, and I'm sure that coming period will be very dynamic in this all things, and we will see how the things will evolve in the coming period. But for sure, I think that it's a quite positive.
Thank you, Dejan. We go to Stefan. So what's your point of view? You already mentioned it: energy poverty, security of supply. So energy price is not only about sustainability, but it seems that sustainability is somehow increasing the price. Even Dejan told us something different. Maybe you can tell us, Stefan, your view.
Totally agree with my colleagues. I want only to mention that the taxonomy should follow the technological neutrality principle. And this is a big issue at European level. It would allow to all the relevant technology in renewable energy, whatever the type of energy, low carbon transport, heat and infrastructure management, to compete on the basis on the environmental performance. The logic applying to gas network and electricity networks should be the same when it comes to equipment and activities enabling the increasing integration of decentrally produced renewable gas, biomethane or hydrogen or electricity. So for us, it's this is important: an equal treatment of power and gas infrastructure.
So technological neutrality. I think we can move to the questions from our public. The first one, yeah, that's more a comment. That in Bulgaria they have expensive market with polluting technologies. So supposedly this common market can help them. What about nuclear power? We didn't mention it. Anyone from you would like to answer? Do you see the future for nuclear power in our countries in the EU? Miroslav, maybe from Czech Republic.
Well, we are not active, I mean, as a company in nuclear power. And again, it's a political, again, this is a political decision. That was a political decision to introduce nuclear power in 60s and 70s. Now, in some countries, there is a political decision to stop using the nuclear power. It's basically because nuclear power never, ever paid for itself. It was always subsidized, and without the public support and the public decision or policy decision, that would never exist in such a scale that we have now, or it would definitely look different. So it's a political decision. It used to be a political decision to start it, and it's also a political decision how to stop it, or if to stop it, or to start it again. So in certain European countries, there was the decision to leave. There was the decision made to leave the nuclear power in the Czech Republic as opposed to others. There is a strong political support for that. So, and it will define the outcome. Nothing else. All
right. We live in democracy, so political decisions are fine. Just they cost a lot of money usually. Radoš, thank you. You are back. There was one specific question for you. Madam Martina Olejnikova asked you whether it's necessary to spend the money from Next Generation EU Fund till 2024, because it seems, if that's true, that it's not enough time to implement all the projects. So maybe you can tell us more about timeline for the spending of the EU funds.
Thank you, Josef. Unfortunately, I can't tell you by heart what is exactly the timeline, but it is clear that we are front-loading some of the investments now to the end of the COVID crisis, or to get out of the COVID crisis. So the purpose of front-loading the money in a short time period into investments in a short time period, the purpose is to kickstart the economy after it received a shock. So there is a high interest in doing investments, conducting investment in a short time period, and we are looking for investments in such a short time period. Now, which money exactly would be sent when? I think I could go back to the documents and to colleagues and provide that information afterwards that you could share.
Thank you, Radoš. There is a question from Yasmin. Maybe Dejan can answer. When do you expect green-based energy production will be more feasible than carbon-based energy production in the EU? Do you have some expectations that can be changed? Under which conditions, probably?
But I think that we mentioned this in the beginning of this story, within this expectation of the European Union that by 2030, 38% of the production will come from the renewables. We are facing that, let's say, just 1 or 2 years ago, almost 80% of the production of the energy was coming either from the fossil or from the nuclear power. So this is rapidly declining, and within this strategy, which is currently on the let's say on the table, it's obvious that reaching of these KPIs of 38% by 2030, it is a clear path where we are going and in which direction. So this is it.
So target is good for business as such. The last question for Martina here from Stefan. What do you expect and need from your government in order to be able to align with the European Commission ambitions? Stefan?
It's a very complex question, especially in Romania with our traditional political instability. Yes, it's very important to be linked better with Brussels, because sometimes we think too much to our national specific and we ignore the European debates, and we must be more serious with our energy national strategy. It must be revised, deeply revised, because the majority of the priorities in this strategy are the priorities from the 70s of communist regime. So that's why I said that I'm more optimistic in our dialogue with the local authorities. Local authorities in Romania are dynamic and better connected with Europe than the central government, and also the energy. And you mentioned before the prices. It's a very political issue. In every electoral period, the price of energy. Every politician said that we are the devils, the energy companies. So. Without thinking to the sustainability of the system.
Thank you, Stefan. It's clear that without energy companies, it cannot work as such. I think, we are 5 minutes over our deadline. So thank all the panelists for this excellent discussion. I think even it was not a real time conference, on-site conference, just a webinar. It was quite good and interactive. So thank you all. Unfortunately, the public cannot clap you, but I do virtually. And now I give floor to our French commerce, to Zuzana, maybe to say the last words to our public. Thank you all the way and bye.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you.
I would like to thank you all, to the Energy Analyst Mr. Josef Badida and all the speakers for their time today to sharing their ideas with us and this interesting discussion, and also to all of you for being with us this morning. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.